think what's happening with medicine is biological. You start to hear about these things like this drug, this ends with an AB, they're antibodies. It's no longer like, it's a little bit like smart bombs. They go in there, they find the cancer with the antenna, they only hit that thing, only hit the cancer, they spare the healthy tissue. There's a lot of precise biological targeting going on. So that's one big wave of medicine that's coming out there. And then there's a lot of sort of tech and bionic integration coming out too. And what I would say is I think it's fascinating.
Big Boy's Neighborhood. Beautiful day in the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Now, this is someone that I saw on social media. I see on KTLA. I see this doctor everywhere. And I'm telling you, man, I saw you with Jay Shetty. And I just kind of, you know how people say if you such and such, just type something in the like the captions. So I did that, and then I was able to get in touch with you. Alrighty, so it's Dr. Rahul Jandial.
Yeah,
Jandial. I love it, bro. Welcome to the neighborhood, bro. It's crazy because I see you in the TV so much that it's crazy to see you in person.
KTLA's like that. When I just saw you right now, he came up with like the formal handshake, like he was meeting Dr. Jandial. I gave him a big long hug because you're a legend to me too, man. I grew up in LA, listening to your voice in the car for decades.
Oh, thank you, brother.
I know what you mean about familiarity, but yeah, KTLA.
Oh yeah,
it's home. Those people are great.
Yeah, that's my family over there as well, bro.
Yeah,
that's my family. But man, there's so much that I wanted to speak to you about, man. Now, I don't know where to start. The one thing that I got, okay, first off, we used to have someone that came to the neighborhood, and it was like a dreamologist. You know what I'm saying? And she would break down our dreams. And now I'm at a point now where, do we dream every night?
My answer is yes.
Okay.
I have some evidence for that, not just an opinion. So when we're talking, I'm going to try to give you a measurement like that, or an experiment, or an opinion.
Okay.
And that way you know where the information is coming from, because right now people are just saying stuff.
Right, especially now. On social media, there's so many experts, bro.
Everyone's a doctor.
Yeah, everyone. And then you look down there and it's like all these medical claims, you know what I'm saying? So we do have dreams every night.
Yeah, and the way to think about this is people who say they don't remember their dreams,
right,
and people who say we do remember our dreams. I remember them all the time. If you put little electrodes on the surface of their scalp, much like if you got an EKG where you could record the heartbeat, well, the brain doesn't have a heartbeat, but it generates all this electricity. So you get a little electrical pulse from that. Those people, when they're sleeping, the ones who remember their dreams and the ones who don't, the electricity is still firing. So that dreaming process is going on every night, all of us. Whether we remember it or not is a separate question.
And Dr. Jandial, what's your background? Like, how did you get into what you do now?
I fumbled through a lot of things. I grew up here in LA. Then I went to college at Berkeley. I went just because I wanted to get out of LA, getting too much trouble out here. And then when I was in Berkeley, I dropped out of college for 2 years.
Oh, really?
I was working as a security guard. My friends would tell you more mall cop, but
Right.
But it's my
there.
story though, so I want to paint it. And then I got back into college, finished Berkeley. Went to USC Medical School here. Working at LA County was something different. General Hospital.
You seen everything there.
Ooh, that was the first time I was like, I'm not so good at the book stuff. I mean, I was good enough to keep up, but that was sort of under pressure, dealing with lots of different people. I was like, oh, I'm better than all my competition here. I was meant for this.
Yeah, I guess that's the, how to say throw you in the pool. I guess that would be the place that
Oh, you got to go through security to get into the hospital. They got metal detectors.
And so how do you get to where you are now with the profession? Because there's so many things, Doctor, that I've had a chance to see either clips or sit down and check it out. And the reason why I brought you in is because, for one, I sleep like crap. And it seemed like I can never shut down. Like I can never, even when I think I'm sleeping, I'm still kind of awake. Is there a name or a term for what I'm explaining to you?
Yeah. So the issue with sleep is, poor sleep. People feeling like they're not sleeping well. There's two types. They don't sleep long enough.
Right.
Like, whoa. They look down. It's 2:45.
Yeah.
And that might be on time for y'all, but I'm just saying that's like not enough sleep. The other issue is waking up too many times through the night.
That's what I do as well.
Getting up, doing this, checking your phone. So a lot of ways to have poor sleep. What you just mentioned about being partially awake, Yeah, they've been talking about it a long time, like the ancients and all those the classic literature. They'll mention something called lucid dreaming,
Right.
and that didn't sound legit to me, to be straight up. But when I looked into it, I dedicated 2 chapters in the book because there's a lot
And
of
the book
science.
is?
It's called Why We Dream. You
Yeah.
know, and that's interesting because a third of people think about it like this: when we remember our dreams, it's usually in the rear view, like, oh yeah, that was only a dream. Right, like you wake up and you say, those thoughts, those experiences, that stuff in my head, that was only a dream. Some people, a third of people, can wake up in the middle of the dream and have a partial understanding, like I'm dreaming, but I'm still asleep. And they did a lot of clever science to prove that. So there's rigorous data on that, and I was impressed with that because Aristotle's writing about it. And now with modern neuroscience and with these electrodes, I was talking to you guys. I mean, like we can kind of prove it now. So I like to connect those dots.
Do you sleep well?
No,
Right.
I mean the things that we did in surgical training. So after LA County, I went into surgery in San Diego. I mean, we used to do 40-hour shifts. Come in Monday 4 a.m.
As a surgeon?
As a surgeon in training.
Oh, okay. And
40, come in Monday morning at 4 a.m., leave Tuesday at 6 p.m. Wednesday, put in another 12-hour day. Thursday, do it again. Come in Thursday morning at 4 a.m. And so and the government had to come in to check the hours. So we were doing 120 a week. Damn. The government said you can only do 80. The brain surgeons were like, we need a special exemption. We want 88 a week.
Really?
And so when you do a few years of that, and I had sons, young kids at that time, I don't even know. At that time, the sleep was wild.
What does the brain look like?
Oh, it's different, man. Oh,
Yeah.
So when I was at LA County and I went into general surgery, I had seen the like the chest open. I'd seen everything. I mean, people came in and shot up some doctors in 1993. LA County General Hospital was wild. So you see a lot. But the first time I saw the brain, living brain, not this like it looks gray or no, it's not like that at all. Like. The first time I saw brain surgery was a big exposure. The whole forehead was taken down, the scalp is rolled down. Patient's asleep, but when you open the skull, it's not the brain right away. It's got like a little sheath on top of it. It looks like a little parachute lining. So you pick it up with these little long tweezers, and you cut it with a thin blade, and a little white clear fluid rolls out, and it's shining white. It looks like oyster. It's shimmering. Blue and red, little micro blood vessels. I mean, it looks like a painting. And I was like, wait a second. I mean, it really struck me at that moment. I was like, should we be here? Because everything else was blood and guts, bone and flesh. And I was just like, it was like this glowing white. And I looked and I was like, wow, this is brain surgery. They're like, this is just the exposure. We're just opening the hood. I was like, wow.
Yeah, because
it's something
you do see a lot of times where like somebody to donate something or they say, hey, this is your brain. And it is like, almost like a puzzle. And it's gray, but the way that you're explaining it, bro.
No, under the lights. And then sometimes we even wake patients up after their brain is exposed. We get into that later, but that's it's called awake brain surgery on the conscious patient, where they're talking to you and you got the skull open and you're tinkering and dissecting, and that's done in elite centers since 1950. So when I saw these stories, I held on to them. I was like my mid-30s, and now I'm 52. So now I'm taking that journey, those stories, my personal life, the things I'm reading about, and getting to the point where I'm able to talk about it. And that's, I think, how you saw me on KTLA and different things, because I was a regular guy before I did this sort of extraordinary craft, if you will, And so now I'm just trying to put it together where there were so many lessons in the hospital. I've seen 7,000 patients. I've operated on thousands of patients. There's so many stories there that we're not making it from the hospital to everybody else. And I was like, I'm going to be that guy.
You know what's wild about that, man? It's like I've been in radio. This is year 31 for me, right? I make a mistake every day. Every day I make a mistake. You can't make a mistake.
You can't make the wrong mistake.
Right. Gotcha.
There's stuff that's not fixable.
Gotcha.
And so people say, like, how do you keep it locked down for 8 hours? It's a little bit like the opposite of flying. Like, the exposure, there's a lot of room to make adjustments as you're getting to the surface of the brain. So like, whereas in airplanes, taking off and landing is dangerous, in surgeries, that middle part, that sort of this 4-hour operation, of course you got to get everything perfect, but there are those parts where there is no backup plan for this. Either the patient will be injured or the bleeding will run away from you. And so what I've learned through life, through fatherhood, through having a lover and all of that is like the focus can't be throughout the whole day. You can't be present the whole time.
Gotcha.
You got to pick and choose. You got to know the moments. I got to get this part right and come into it with the right mind frame, and then let yourself relax a little bit. What I call like build up that psychological gas tank. Like you can't just keep going hard.
What is sleep paralysis? There's sometimes when people, have you ever had it where you're like man, I felt like I was falling or something was holding me down.
Okay.
What is sleep paralysis?
Another thing that they've been talking about in all cultures for a long time, right? Like hundreds of years. And so the way to describe it is this. If I could have like people walk away with an understanding today, I would say first, your brain never turns off. That electricity is on fire 24/7.
Don't I know it?
Yeah. And what happens even when we're lying down and our heart might slow down, our body might be a little cool, and you think it's resting, your brain's on fire. At night, your brain is electrically going off just like during the day, like we're having this conversation. So how it does that is there's a sleep entry phase, transitioning from the waking brain to the dreaming brain. And on the other end, you got to go from dreaming to waking up. And sometimes there's a mismatch that your body's still temporarily paralyzed like sleep does, and you wake up, but your body's still on lockdown. And that feeling makes people freak out. Yeah. And the way they freak out around the world in different cultures is the same. It's crazy. They see a lurking intruder in the corner. Sometimes they feel something sitting on top of their chest.
Yes.
People say that person is trying to violate them. And that thing is told like it's like in Africa, Europe, ancient culture. So for me, what's exciting about that is I'm trying to bring brain science to explain something that's happened for a long time. And my understanding, the way I explain it, it's a mismatch. Mind is awake, body's on lockdown, and the mind can't process that right. So it freaks out and has the same kind of freak out pattern, if you will, across the world, across all humans.
What about nightmares? Because I've had nightmares where I've literally shout out to my wife, wake me up, wake me up. Or then sometimes I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm dreaming. Yeah. And then I can kind of pop myself out of it.
Yeah. So first thing, bad dream versus nightmare. Bad dream, you wake up in the morning, you look backwards, you go, man, that was rough. I don't want to have those thoughts again. A nightmare, by definition, medical definition, it's startling, it wakes you up, it's horrific, and it happens in kids, and it happens in adults. So when I was trying to think of this book, I was at Dodger Stadium, and I was just talking to people, just like, what do you think about dreams, like we're doing? And
at Dodger Stadium? That's a hell of a place to do research.
Excuse
me, come here, you.
It's just it's an easy way to talk to people.
Right.
That's a good one. But yeah, you can buy the nosebleed tickets at Dodger Stadium, but still stay pretty close to the field. But there's no seats, so you got to stand. So there's a crowd of people that bought the cheap seats but are standing. So it's easy to vibe and communicate. It's like a pub or a bar. But and everybody's saying, well, dreams, they can't be good for you, because how are nightmares good for you? So nightmares are a tricky one. Kids get them; they get them universally. My big theory is that it's serving a purpose. We go through puberty. We have erotic dreams. We have nightmares. These are sort of just like we learn to walk and talk, and our body's sort of growing up. Mm-hmm. The mind is also maturing, and nightmares must play a role because all kids get them, even if they've had an easy life and been treated with the most love. And then almost always the nightmares go away. So children's nightmares are different. Mm-hmm. In adults, I think they're your brain is going wild. The imagination network is let loose. Emotions are let loose. And nightmares are just part of that sort of creative expression that the residue lingers into the day. What I will say is, if you don't have nightmares and you start having a lot of them, that might be something to talk to your doctor about, because that's, some brain disease. I'm not saying if you have nightmares, think you got a brain disease, but there's a thought that not just checking blood pressure and temperature, asking if you're in pain when you go to the doctor, that maybe people should ask about your living situation, obviously. And then how's your dream life? Are you having a change in your dream patterns and a change in nightmare patterns, maybe linked to certain diseases like Parkinson's and things like that?
Yeah, and it seems like with me, Doc, I can't, and not that you shut your brain off, but it feels like when it gets quiet, my brain gets real loud. And that's when I, either it's created, and there's times too, Doc, where I can sit there and it'd be the most dumbest shit that I'm thinking about.
Mhm.
I could lay there and it'd be a rap lyric, or I'd be like, dude,
Well,
like
that's how they come.
I was even one point I was like, oh, damn, I made that spaghetti. I should have used all the pasta. Why I didn't use all the? And this is a real conversation that I've had with myself.
That's where all my good ideas come.
Yeah, mine as well. Good ones and dumb ones.
Yeah, well, it's an idea generator. You got to have 100 bad ideas to find one good one. I mean,
is that bad for you though?
No, actually, again,
because I'm tired right now.
Yeah, I think since your brain is always on day and night, that during the day if you think about it, there are regions that keep our attention outward. It's called task on. You're looking out. You're awake. You're getting sensations. You're digesting. You're outward focused. If your outward area is under control, or when we sleep, it's got a natural internal mental landscape that it drifts into. Because it's never going to just rev down like a computer screen that you got to hit the keyboard on. It's going to be either outward or inward or some combination. So creativity is a little bit of like inward, letting a lot of different thoughts come up. But then you got to analyze the thoughts and see if they're good. You got to know the dots to connect the dots, right? You can't just have wild ideas.
Is it a way to shut that down?
I don't think that's necessary unless it's disrupting your life.
It's disrupting.
Yeah. Well,
because even with our gig, it's like by the time some people probably getting into deep sleep or rapid eye movement or something, we got to get up.
Yeah.
And then I'm already up, quite a few times a night anyway. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, is sleep deprivation, can that lead to Alzheimer's, dementia? What could sleep deprivation, how bad is that for you?
Well, if you take the worst example, like there are families with genetic disorders, very few small group of people. It's called fatal familial insomnia. Like at some point when they turn 40 or 50, and that's not us. I'm just setting where the information comes from.
Man, as soon as you said fatal, this is not going to sound good. Yeah, all right.
Big boy looked at me like, where is this going? It's a morning show.
I'm going to tell my wife, like, dude, hey, dude, he told me what I have.
But, it'll literally kill you if you don't get sleep after 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and it extends on to a few weeks to a few months. At the same time, a lot of night shift workers in hospitals, they, as a whole, they seem to have a few more metabolic issues, diabetes, obesity, that sort of thing. But it's not like they have a ton more brain tumors or different. Right. So we have to be fair in how we look at that. But sleep deprivation and is linked to mental health is clear. Sleep deprivation may be accelerating dementia as possible. Really? It's just hard to do those experiments, to be fair. How do you find 1 million people who sleep well and 1 million people who don't sleep well, and everything else about their lives is equal? Right. For a study, that's a hard one to do, but I wouldn't think about it too much. I mean, as a way that's going to sleep deprivation. There are people, insomnia. A lot of creative people have insomnia. People who have insomnia. Right. Yeah. So go for good sleep.
Look, everybody in here like, yeah.
Go for good sleep, but and the things to do that are clear. No caffeine afternoon, right? Because it'll stay in your system, and quiet time. A little bit
even with me, like if I can't sleep, I don't go on my phone. Yeah. Like I don't try to get up and do something. I could literally just be in bed and just lay there, and I'm like, come on, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
It can be tough, no doubt.
Yeah. Man, I was sure hoping that you had a
solution. Well, a lot of people,
can you lie to me like my wife? No,
but a lot of people take Tylenol PM or Benadryl. They turn to that, but then you get a different grogginess in the morning. You can't be sharp. It's a weird thing. There is no simple solution. Everybody's got to work it out for themselves. Yeah.
Damn.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Damn. Hey, dude, I wish you luck. I'm going to tell you, man.
Doctor's orders.
Hey, man, you got me leaving here even more so. Like, dude, there's nothing I can do. Like, hopefully, that's how I created phone taps and the things that I do here. What you about to say, Lou?
I got a question for you. At what age do kids start having dreams? Because I have a 2-year-old. He just turned 2. His name's Yael. And I'm starting to see that at night he's waking up and he's starting to, punch the air and I feel like he's like having a bad dream, and I don't want to wake him up, but we kind of try to calm him down. But what's happening in this 2-year-old's mind right now?
And the way we get to some of that information is families will sign up their children from age 2 to 20 to participate in these sleep studies. So that way you see how dreams change over a lifetime. Yeah, that's called longitude. Not just take 1,000 people now, but take 50 people and follow them for 2 decades. And when they're 2, their dreams are not as animated. Maybe they can't express themselves, but they get wild when nightmares arrive. And what's really interesting about that, I got 3 sons, 20, 21, and 23. Each of them around 4 or 5. I had to say, hey, it's only a dream, as if like they couldn't tell on their own. So so all of that is sort of what we call evolutionary psychology, like trying to come up with great ideas about why we are a certain way. But you can imagine that's a hypothetical answer. I can't give you a firm answer on that because there's really no way to do that experiment.
Is there a real thing called 8 hours of sleep?
I don't think so. I mean, it's normal to range between that. It's different in children, definitely different in older folk. You know, it's different if you're at the cancer center and you're on medicines or you had surgery. So this hard number, I think, is tripping people up too. They put on the watch and some people feel rested. They look down, it says, oh, I only got 6.5 hours of REM, whatever. And they think they're not doing well. It's really a function thing. If you can function and you're feeling good, as is with a lot of issues, whether it's behavioral addictions, whether it's phone use, whether it's eating, if you're able to function with all of the tugs and pull in your life, we don't really consider it a disorder. So 8 hours is a rough target, but like I said, I rather have 6 of steady sleep than 8 where I got up 3 times. I'd rather have steady sleep rather than interrupted
Do
sleep.
you get is your sleep steady?
No.
Yeah.
No, and what I try to do is I call it running the list. So like when if I wake up and I know it's going to be about an hour before I go to bed or fall asleep again maybe, I just go through the most important things in my life and I try to think about like this, and then I try to have ideas. And then I'll let those ideas sort of float in my head a little bit, fall asleep, wake up. Before I go on Instagram, I'll actually write down a few thoughts. And so I try to use that insomnia and that weird waking up period as an idea generator. A lot of people have done this. I mean, Salvador Dali used to talk about that as a way to come up with his ideas. So I'm trying to put it to use rather than just trying to white knuckle.
Yeah.
Getting
So
back to
there's
sleep
no
is
such thing
stressful.
called shutting off your brain. You know how people say, man, you need to try to just shut down, shut your brain down.
So that's a great point. And the reason I'm saying no, and this quiet your mind or calm your mind, what I'm saying is it's not my opinion. If it's not dangerous, people can sign up to have 96 little stickers put on their head and the little wires are being recorded. It's not invasive and you can have people fall asleep. The electricity's going all night. You're just not conscious of it. So what it is about redirecting your mind, putting those thoughts to use. Because I think it's tough to be like, why are you thinking so much?
Right.
Because that ends up being a weird loop.
Yeah, and I think I've been on that loop for many years, where I wake up and I'm like, man, even there's sometimes, Doc, when I'm thinking about something, then as soon as I get out of bed, I was like, dude, that wasn't even worth thinking about. But I could sit up and I could just think about something all night.
Yeah.
And in the morning, it wasn't even that important. But at night, when it's quiet,
it can run away from you.
Yeah.
But that is also because you're not task on. You're not being distracted by something in front of you.
Right.
There isn't a lion in the savannah that you got to be on point about, right? So your mind will find its own thoughts in that internal sort of mental workspace, we call it. So it's going to be either outward thought, outward engagement, or internal imagination, or somewhere in both, which is where creative people live.
and I take nothing. Like I don't drink coffee, but are there really any sleep? You know how people say, oh, sleep meds, melatonin. I think what's the other thing that was that George Lopez told me about? It was a drug.
The sleeping drugs.
What one of the popular sleeping
There's
drugs.
Ambien, no?
Ambien.
Yeah.
But he said that he got up. He was on Ambien, and this is a public story, so I'm not saying anything that George told me privately. He got up and went to his closet and got dressed because he thought he had a show that night. He thought he was in his dressing room. I'm like, bro, I don't want no shit like that.
Hey, you know what? Google this, look this up. Some people with Ambien, they were driving. They would get so out of their mind while they were asleep that they could still do reflexive things. They get in the car and drive. And so Ambien is a prescription medicine. And so back to your question about taking sedatives to sleep. Look, I'm not. There's no judgment. There's a lot out there. I mean, people smoke weed to sleep.
Right.
Gummies seem to be popular. They have different combinations. Melatonin is out there. I mean, when we remove in brain surgery, sometimes for cancer, we remove the gland that makes melatonin. They seem to sleep fine afterwards. I'm not saying.
What?
Yeah, so I bring the practical knowledge from my space too, right?
Wait, what did you just say?
Yeah.
So
Remove what?
Well, they, like the
So you got to do brain surgery on me for me to sleep?
no, but the story about melatonin is made by a gland in your brain. It's called the pineal gland. It's supposed to be like, and mystics refer to it as a third eye. Well, sometimes we remove that, and those patients seem to sleep well. So melatonin is not directly, in my opinion, based on that measurement, something that you really need to sleep. It's really a light thing. They're a cluster of neurons that need to see light in the morning and dark in the evening, and then that puts them in a rotation around the world. So that's one insight. But what I will say is, in the hospital, Benadryl is the thing that they get. It's an antihistamine for allergies,
Right.
but it's a sleep initiator, like alcohol. It'll help you fall asleep,
Right,
but it's not
will
going to
keep
get you past that 2, 3, 4 hour.
Right.
4
Yeah,
in the
because
morning.
anytime when I've tried to take something, I can't stay asleep. The book is called "This Is Why You Dream." Why do we dream?
Well, that's the big question, right? So this goes back to why we're glad, we have modern neuroscience. I mean, just to where I'm coming from for that answer is like people have been weighing in on that for thousands of years. So why is this guy commenting about it? Because in the last 30 years, a lot of brain machines, a lot of brain electricity measurements were made to take care of patients with brain diseases or brain cancers. Because an MRI doesn't give you radiation and those stickers don't hurt, a lot of people are exploring brain science for things that aren't disease related. And so that's the sort of the window in which I'm coming to this answer. And what I would say is, I think we dream because it keeps our minds creative and plastic when it comes to emotion, sexuality, and innovative thinking. Because that's what's left loose. That's what's let loose when we're sleeping and dreaming. Those are the regions of the brain that are let out to play. So to me, it's a little bit like high intensity training. Those brain region cells, if you don't let them run in the safe environment of sleep, you might lose that capacity when the world changes, when it's not just the same freeway every day. So when I'm looking at this, the waking brain and the dreaming brain, whatever's let loose in the dreaming brain, it's rehearsing, it's practicing, it's preserving that capacity. So that's my big idea, is that it preserves, maybe even develops imagination, social intelligence, all of these skills that we don't always use during the day, just driving around the freeways and getting things done.
Are you starting to see more dementia and Alzheimer's now?
Yes, but that's because a lot of people are living longer. So when I was younger, people were dying from heart attacks.
Right.
It was like, 30 years ago you'd hear, somebody's in their 50s that dropped dead. And then when they got some pills to, open up the arteries with cholesterol and other things, of cholesterol medicines, they started living longer. Then we saw a different type of disease. We saw more cancers in their 60s and 70s. And cancers happen earlier. But what I'm saying is, as we push the age limit a little bit, different parts of our body are declaring themselves, hey, we're wearing out in this decade of life. And so Alzheimer's and age for most part, Alzheimer's and dementia is an age-related thing that seems to be bubbling up now as people are living longer.
Do you see that you're starting to see it younger as well?
Well, that's a good question. I think is it Chris Helmsworth? I don't know. Some people have a genetic thing, and you can have a risk for it in your, you can have a risk for it in your 50s. There's a small group that it starts to pop up in. It's hard to tell when you forget your keys. Is that headed to Alzheimer's or is that?
Because I saw you with Jay Shetty speaking about that.
Yeah. It's hard, but there's a blood test now that memory loss. If you're worried and your family in your 50s, there's a blood test that it can figure out whether you have Alzheimer's or dementia or not. That's a big statement there, because it's not like simple memory things. It's like forgetting your memories from when you were a kid. It's forgetting who your partner is. Yeah. It's a different kind of memory loss, and usually it's families that notice they're not really with it right now. So before we had to do more invasive things. So there is a blood test. Now just be careful with that. What I would say is, that takes a nuanced person to be able to explain that to you. But what you do, whether you want to prevent Alzheimer's or whether you think you might be at risk for it or whether your family member has it, that's all well established. It's not really medicine. It's really a change in the way we eat.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain.
So if you look at some of these, if you look at these countries that eat what I would say is pescatarian. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going out there, plant-based, this or that. I'm not getting into that. What I'm telling you is over 30 years, people who eat the Mediterranean diet, mostly plants, some indulgences, of course, you got to have an in-out burger. Of course, you got to live life, but the bulk of it is plants and fish that they have a lot lower rates of dementia. It's called the mind diet. That's like a big 30-year thing we're following. They also had less heart attacks. And so that's the prescription to keeping the flesh of your brain healthy is the Mediterranean diet, which is essentially the shortcut would be pescatarian.
Does it set on, though? Because I know when you were with Jay Shetty, somebody say, oh, I forgot my keys. Is that a thing that you feel like in due time you're witnessing something? Or
that's a good question. So I'll tell you forgetting somebody's name and forgetting with the keys, that seems to be sort of normal age-related decline. That happens to me. People used to forget phone numbers. We got phones. We don't have to worry about that. It's a different type of memory disruption. Again, it's forgetting memories, forgetting relationships, forgetting people. It doesn't happen daily, but just a sprinkling of that, I think it will catch people's eyes if that's happening in their family members. And now they can go and say, hey, I heard there's a blood test, and insurance is going to cover it. And if not, there are a lot of ways to work around it for people who don't have resources.
Because I knew a gentleman, and he was at my mailbox center. And when I would go in, I just saw a decline. And I remember I told my wife, I said, baby, you get a yellow slip when you have an oversized package. And so I got the yellow slip, but he couldn't find my package. And then another time when I was getting a bill in the mail, it went default because
those kind of things. Sending checks to the wrong place. Grandmoms used to do that in the way. Sending checks to the wrong place. Not the math so much, but
so I saw a decline, and he ended up having Alzheimer's. But I saw it 2, 3, 4 years before.
That's an important point for families, because now that before there were no real tests to predict that.
Right.
Then they made a test where they had to take fluid out of your lower back, and nobody even wanted that. It's too much. We do it for things, but that's not a way to address the general public. Now there's a blood test. And sometimes it can happen from just like a disruption of salt and different things in your blood. That's an easy fix. So now it's a doctor's visit and a blood test. And I think
can't that blood test couldn't that be scary as well?
Well, that's the big question. Maybe you don't want it.
Yeah, because something can come back and you're like, oh, shit.
They had or they had the age calculator. Like, put in what you're doing, you're gonna die.
Yeah, like, man, I should have been dead 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
yeah. But you just get overwhelmed now with so much information now.
But that's what KTLA, and that's what they're great with is. First of all, I love them. They're real people. I grew up with them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like 17 years. I was in my 30s when I started there. And that's the platform where I'm just trying to leave people equipped with an understanding so they can make sense of everything out there. I mean, you open your phone, it's left and right. This causes Alzheimer's. This cures Alzheimer's. And
what about brain fog? Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we know it exists for sure from after chemotherapy. You can have something called chemo fog. So, again, I'm just giving you concepts. So the slowing down of cognition and these sort of things, it can happen with hormonal changes. It can happen with chemotherapy. It can happen, of course, when you're tired.
Does that go away?
In chemotherapy, after chemotherapy,
even tired.
It does.
Right. Okay.
And the things we would.
I am smooth asking all these questions for me. I'm
I know. It just sounds.
Yeah. Dude. All right.
That's funny, but the things we do for patients after they have chemo fog is what you want to do if you're having foggy thoughts or clouded cognition because you haven't slept well, or the same thing if you want to boost your brain to superhuman performance, like you got all these people trying to live to 150 and stuff like that. It's the same approach. The brain rehab is walking, puzzles, trying to stay engaged, mind diet. So whether you're trying to recover, preserve, or extend your brain function, it's the same recipe.
Exercise that much. You can do something.
Yeah.
Because you'll see apps where it's like, oh, this is a brain, look at this app and do this every day. So you can do certain things to kind of strengthen.
And a book I wrote before was like, if people after brain surgery or getting chemotherapy can get better, then of course you can. And then the real question is, why can't we get, to the next level of what we think we can be. So it ties everything together: recovery, rehab, and recovery. Preserving, improving your life. That it's the ultimate wellness to think about it, right? And it's not something that only rich folk can afford.
Right. What about this chip that Elon Musk is always talking about?
Yeah. So brain surgeons, we put in different things into the brain. Okay. So for 50 years, there
is a chip.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's not. But there are other chips.
Right.
He just made it popular.
Okay.
He put his name on it and did the press about it.
Well, hopefully it don't stall like her Tesla did. You just be sitting there, big boys.
Yep.
So what are common chips, or what? And what is Elon Musk's brain chip?
Yeah. So the brain chips are basically, think of it this way. Because we talked earlier, it's a perfect setup for the explanation is because the brain generates electricity. Let me just give people concepts here so they can go, somebody asked me one time, I was in London, well, where does the electricity come from? I said, it's like electrical eels, or it's like jellyfish. The neurons, the brain cells, over 100 billion of them, the glucose lands on them. They separate out ions just like a battery, and that they're little molecular batteries, and they generate electricity. That's how they communicate. They're spraying electrochemistry at each other, electrochemical. So that serotonin and that dopamine is really just moving the electricity around. And so it's an electrical system at the biggest level. And again, I can measure it, right, safely. Well, if you put a grid on top of that, a little thing that's like a dime size, it can read the electricity. And yeah, exactly. And that's happening right here. I mean, that's how they get somebody with a paralyzed arm to shake Obama's hand. Remember, that was like 5-10 years ago. That's right here in LA. Big things are happening in LA.
How much advancement do you see medicine now? And what do we see in the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, just out of respect, there's too much good medicine that's not getting to people out there. So that's a whole different field called barriers and disparity in care. You want to invent medicine, but you also want to get the medicine that's out there to the people who need it, that's not even making it to them. So yes, I feel like you got to push on both sides, right? Because too much good care is not accessible. I'll just leave that out there as one thought. And then going forward, I think what's happening with medicine is biological. You start to hear about these things like this drug, this ends with an AB, they're antibodies. It's no longer like, it's a little bit like smart bombs. They go in there, they find the cancer with the antenna, they only hit that thing, only hit the cancer, they spare the healthy tissue. There's a lot of precise biological targeting going on. So that's one big wave of medicine that's coming out there. And then there's a lot of sort of tech and bionic integration coming out too. And what I would say is I think it's fascinating.
Do you do surgeries hands-on, or do you do surgeries now robotically?
Hands-on. Well, that's interesting. There isn't a robot that does it on their own like your Tesla.
Right, yeah.
You still got the commands.
Gotcha.
100% of the time. It's just that the robot has little narrow arms that can get into a smaller space, like the chest or the belly or the pelvis. Before, it used to be 2 surgeons with 4 hands working in there. So now that took a big incision. What a robot does is let you have smaller probes in there, smaller incisions doing the work, but you're controlling those probes.
What do you do during a surgery?
Me?
Or do you listen to music? Have you ever checked your phone when somebody's brain is open?
with my brain chip?
Yeah.
No, it's not. I do big cases. They're complex cases. So I run my operating room in a rhythm. It's like it's a performance. It's a dance. People come in. You know where you're supposed to be. The opening, I'm a little bit more relaxed. When I get to that middle part, I'll call something out. Say next 15, and then people pay more attention because that's the part that everybody's got to be on point right there. And then we're coming in for landing. You're putting the stitches in, stuff like that. At that time, I got a playlist.
You know what's wild about that? There's some conversations that people could have and say, "Oh yeah, me too," or like yeah, same.
Yeah, I do
like
that too.
yeah, but I can't. Like, where's your conversation aside from your colleagues? There's not someone that you be like, "Yeah, man, I was digging in this brain. Like, oh my God, I was doing the same thing Thursday." Like what you do is very special. And it's extremely life-saving too, though, bro. Like, you know, and you're such a cool guy, and I watch you, and I'm like, dude, this is like it almost seemed like you could have been an old school rapper or some shit. You know what I'm saying? But you do amazing things, and it seems as though you're really trying to continue to push not just medicine, but knowledge through. You know what I'm saying? Because there's the information highway is so clogged up right now, bro, that we're starting to believe anything and everything. You know, one day this is bad for you. The next swipe, it depends on your algorithm. You know,
that's why I try to leave people with understanding. And it's like everybody's talking about choice. I agree with that. What's important is informed choices. But to really inform somebody, you got to have an understanding. And that understanding comes from concepts, how our brain is built. Now we know it's electric, it's beautiful, it can recover, it can be enhanced. All the strategies are the same. That's an understanding. So when you look at your phone about the next supplement to do it or not do it, I would just say is, try to do it the way that's time tested and that is accessible to everybody. Because it's kind of a tangent. I don't want people to think that you got to buy those supplements to be at your best.
right?
If it were true, I would tell you. And that's something that happens on Kate Tilley. Like, we want the shortcut. I'll tell you when the shortcut comes up. So
Right.
Because I want it too. But it's got to earn that. And so right now we're seeing, so first it was like Prozac came, and then you see like, oh, nobody's on it. 30% of patients are on it. Then it was like a cholesterol clearing, a heart artery clearing medicines. Nobody's on it. A lot of people are on it. And now we're seeing, with GLP and Ozempic, nobody's on it. A lot of people are on it. And when it goes to a pill in the next year or two,
Oh my Lord!
those are the big waves.
So you think Ozempic would go to a pill?
Oh yeah. I mean, when the machine runs, when something works and is profitable, a lot of brain energy is going to go to that. A lot of industry energy is going to go to that, and they're already talking about it. Yeah, it's already in trials. It's not if it's going to happen. It's just when.
When, Mariana?
There has been an increase in anxiety with people. Why do you think that that's happening a lot more, and why? Like, what are the causes?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is how we define it. It's been tricky because I was asked about autism, and like I know people that I was like, well, you're concerned, and they're like, no, I have anxiety. So the term is a little bit different, And I would just tell you the story that if you hit a game-winning shot, if you have this rare kind of tumor that's curable that releases all of this cortisol and adrenaline in your body, just because you have those chemicals surging inside you doesn't mean you're feeling anxious. Your brain has still got to set the climate and the context. You can't just put cortisol in somebody and make them feel anxious. So I think one, it's the definition.
Yep.
And two is it's crazy out there, the stuff coming at us, man. It's just it's not that task on, when not dreaming where it's our imagination, but the things we're looking out with our eyeballs with our hands with, we're just being flooded with a lot. So I think we're a little bit shell-shocked, and it's hard to get into a rhythm, and that might be why people are saying they're more anxious. And the treatments out there are tricky. You don't want it to be medical.
Yeah.
But the one that's time-tested is paced breathing. It's the one I do when a case gets tricky. It's the ones they've been writing about for 2,000 years. And we have science that proves that if you can slow down your breathing, steady it, that will be your natural volume. That will actually calm things down. There's a giant nerve that comes from your brain, wraps around your heart and lungs, called the vagus nerve. Like, there's a thing that explains that. And I had one of my sons explain it even better. He's like, so it's the opposite of hyperventilating, which makes you panicky.
Yeah.
Hyperventilating makes you panicky. Pace your breathing, chills you out. I was like, oh yeah, I need to learn from that.
Juan was asking, what's the difference between normal distraction and ADHD?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. It's not a space. So again, that's something that's happening. What I would say is all of these things, if they're going to ask doctors who do more of that care, is it getting in the way of your life? Is it getting in the way of your work? Is it getting in the way of your relationships? So all of these things we're talking about, there's a normal range, and then it's starting to mess with your life and disrupt your life range. So whether it's ADHD, anxiety, porn addiction, drug use, substance use disorder. There's a lot of words, but it all comes back down to, is it is it taking over your life to the point where you can't function? But to get rid of it completely, to get rid of those urges to drink or to smoke or to eat, that may not be possible. So the goal is to really contain it to so where you can function, keep your job, keep your relationship.
Is there anything that you need to share with us that we haven't asked?
Did that look like I was giving you a long list of my issues?
No.
I don't know where you were going with that.
I'm just saying, is there any, like, am I missing something basic that someone want to ask about either drink? Go ahead, Mariana.
Is the food
I'm open to anything.
is the food that we're consuming now? Do you think that that's causing cancer?
More everything.
More everything.
That's a big question.
You got to be careful too, huh?
Meaning?
What you say sometimes?
No. I'm free.
Because if you just said yes, everybody be like,
well, yeah. No, that's a good point. But so I'll just give you an example that you can walk away with. Thousands of years ago, they would say, let food be thy medicine. Mm-hmm. And in a very rare case of brain electricity gone wrong, it's called seizures and epilepsy. Mm-hmm. And for children where the medicine is not enough, they'll be put on an all-fat diet because your body with all fat, when the glucose runs out, your liver will churn out something called ketones. Yeah. Ketones, that's the original keto diet was for this. It kicks up and goes to your brain, and it can break this. You can treat brain electricity problem called seizures or epilepsy with just only eating fat. So I'm not saying do that, but I'm giving you an example of it does matter what you eat. Okay, now on the other end, is one blueberry or only one food element going to fix or cause all the problems? That gets a little harder, right? So that returns us back to the middle. It's that 30 years of eating the mind diet, mostly plants, little bit of fish, these sort of things. It has that. Damn. Then you do that from 40 to 60, you do better from 70 to 80.
How do you eat?
I eat what I want. Okay. I just don't eat as much as I used to.
So not deprivation, more moderation.
Yeah, because surely liking what I'm doing has got to be helping me live longer and feel better too. But I trim the portions. And I eat what I want. I'm not gonna go to Thanksgiving and be like, I'm not eating what's here because it's got this and that in it.
You could scare the shit out of some people too.
Yeah.
Like literally, if there's something on somebody's plate, you'd be like, "Hey man, that's bad for your brain. Can I have that?" I'd be like, "Yeah man, here, take it big. You got any coins on your $100 bills? Like, yeah man, that's leaking into your thigh, bro. And that's going straight up to your brain. Give me that.
I hear you though, man. It's quite the platform to be asked these questions. I'm trying to finesse it.
Hey man, but do you look at social media sometimes as you're scrolling, Doc, and be like, there's a lot of bullshit on here?
Oh, that's actually there's always been bullshit, but the bullshitters are obvious.
Right, yeah, now.
Because they were selling snake oil out of the back of a van or something. You look at that, you're like, I think that's a dupe. That's not authentic, But now if you get your information from a glossy website or a glossy Instagram feed or somebody popular, because I'm getting a lot of those questions, I'm getting a lot of those questions. And again, I would leave it to, if you're asking me specifics, I would try to understand the concepts. And then I would go to things that are time tested. There are some big prominent institutions outside of LA. So it's not like I'm plugging my world out here, but like Mayo Clinic or Harvard, they've got a little emailer you can sign up on and ask them, what about cold plunges and saunas?
Right. Yeah.
I'm not saying don't listen to the good looking folks doing the cold plunges.
Damn, I cold plunge down there every day too. and I look like this.
But check it on those sites.
What about migraines?
Terrible.
Yeah.
What about porn?
Yes, they are.
What about watching porn?
Yeah, and it triggers your brain. Make you want to go out and do something. You know what I'm saying?
What about crazy girlfriends when they don't? They can't.
Yeah, can you study his ex's brain? Is there a scan that she got?
Why do they go crazy?
But no, I really just wanted to get you in, and hopefully. Oh, look at her.
I have one more question.
You know he has like a whole practice you can go to too.
Oh, really?
I'm rolling there afterwards.
Yeah. And he's on Instagram. And we actually got a meeting in like a minute.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But please.
Okay, so earlier you mentioned the third eye because I stayed stuck on that.
Well, not your 4 eyes.
No, not my 4 eyes. The third eye. He mentioned the third eye. What exactly is that? Because I feel like I've been trying to understand that.
Well, the brain is built like, it looks a little bit like a walnut. It's got hemispheres, the left and the right. It's not a whole thing going through. It's got all kinds of different anatomy and structures in there. It's beautiful. It's like a whole world. And the bridge that connects it, there's like a gland that sits there called the pineal. So for the longest time, for hundreds of years, when they were opening up skulls after people passed away, they're like, this looks important. It's dead center. And what we're finding is that it's not really like one part of the brain or one thing that you eat. It's kind of like how the whole thing works together.
Yeah, so there is no one shot answer to anything.
Not brain stuff.
Yeah.
Not brain stuff. Heart stuff, yeah. Open up the arteries. Go for a walk. That's easy. But for brain stuff, it's complicated. And I think that's why I got more stories to tell.
Do you exercise your brain?
Well, I think just the I don't set time to do that.
Okay, so you don't purposely.
No, but I got rituals where like on Saturday morning I'll flip through the arts section of a newspaper website. I'll force myself to look at things I wouldn't. Because the thing with social media, it's just sending me down the things I'm already liking. And how do I know what's out there?
The algorithm.
Yeah. So what I do is I flip through different magazines. I have different emailers. I'll actually pick up physical things. I'll take different, I love to travel. So I'm always trying to give myself fresh content. What I would say about exercising the brain is it's a little bit like a video game. It's got to be a level up. It can't be like, I'm going to get a PhD tomorrow. Well, that's kind of that's too far. Your brain won't engage it. Or if it's too easy, it won't engage it. So each of us has that next level that's engaging enough and pushes us into that next level of sort of thinking and emotional engagement. That could be rocking out with people. That could be vibing with people. That could be flipping through things you usually don't do. It could be using your left hand on the mouse. I mean, it's all kinds of simple things, but it's an active process,
Do you see patterns in people? And not that you're the pattern police, but do you ever see like, oh, she's a crash out girl. She's crazy. This guy's going to be a drinker. Do you see patterns in people that and not that you're walking around analyzing people, but
that's the job. That's the career.
Yeah.
And that's actually where the talent lies, I think, is when you get when people walk through the door and you give them the C word cancer, or they're dealing with the cancer word and they got a scan and they're waiting to find out, is it back, is it growing? There's a lot that they go through. And what I would say is when I started in my 30s as a cancer surgeon, like I said earlier, I'm 50s now. You think you have people pegged. Person comes in, they're gonna handle this. They got the support system. They got the vitamins. They got the money. They got the resources. And you see some people come in, and they don't. They're struggling. You could see that, and when that C word hits, you don't know what you're gonna get. I've seen people struggle and just come out like the fight brought something out in them that they didn't even know they had. And on the other side, I see people who look like they've got it all put together, and when that word hits, they don't really have the coping skills. So
is it still hard to deliver that?
Oh yeah. And I think what's important is it's got to stay hard because they don't hear the words, they feel your energy. So
yeah, because you could be saying it
flat
the thousandth whatever time, and they're hearing it the first time.
And even the language, what they're really sensing is this person taking a little bit of a hit with me in this moment right now in this clinic talking about this. This isn't just on to the next. Like this is hurting him just a little bit too, and then you let them free fall a little bit because you've got where this story is going to go in all the different ways. They don't, and so if you come too fast with the knowledge, with the explanations, so there's a little bit of a ritual. I'm not saying like I got like a protocol for it, but I always have their scans up. So first of all, there's a lot of doubt and suspicion. Like not everybody goes to the doctor and thinks everything's gonna be great. So I need them to see this is your body. and then they see the obvious cancers, like it's obvious, and then you got to give them a moment, and then you got to have the conversation. And usually where I try to go with that is because what they're thinking is, am I going to die today? Am I going to die soon? I try to get them to, let's think in terms of weeks, years, or maybe even decade, and so then they get a time frame, and in between I want to give them I want to give them that space to digest all of the fears, the lack of knowledge of the grandma that had it, it did well, that didn't, like they got their own relationship with the word cancer coming in. And the pauses are important. And then what they feel is, a lot of times it's like, usually what I talk to them about in different ways is like, I'm not sure where this is going for you, but if you choose me to help you with this part of your cancer journey, the cancer surgery part, that no matter what happens, because it's going to be a bumpy ride, that you'll never be stranded. So I leave it at that with them, and you can't, people are brilliant, man. They feel you. All the words and stuff is all secondary.
Man, well, thank you for coming into the neighborhood.
My pleasure.
And we're going to see you again because I got a whole lot more questions. The new book is This Is Why You Dream. And once again, Dr. Rahul Jandial, thank you for coming into the neighborhood, man. Y'all continue to hang with us in the neighborhood. Big boy.
Big boy.